Hey, how would you like to have a lot more success in your life? And how would you like it if life got easier and less stressful than more stressful with more responsibility as that happened? And how would that be? How amazing would that be if that happened within the next few weeks or a few days? Would that be something you'd be interested in? Because imagine if that happened, okay? Imagine if you could suddenly start pulling clients into your world. Imagine if, as your business grew, you felt more energy, you've had more free time, a greater sense of space. And imagine unlocking success potential you didn't even realize you had. Like my client, Jennifer, who, after working with her for the last 3 months of the year, 2 years ago, she made as much money as she did the first 9 months of the year. If I can show you how to get those kinds of results, would you be interested? I hope so. Okay, so I'm Shiraz. I'm a reality interventionist. Yes, I know. What is a reality interventionist? I actually help you get out of the addiction of your current lifestyle, your current results, and get you addicted to way better results and a way better life. Right? But what I do is not as important as why I do it. You see, I believe that everyone just wants to be acknowledged, to be loved, to be respected for who they are. But we are taught from an early age that in order for that to happen, you have to fit in. You have to get people to like you. You have to make sure you don't rock the boat. And in that teaching, you stop being who you actually are. I also believe that when you start to really tap in to your true value, to your potential, and stop worrying about what everyone else thinks about you, your success potential unlocks. Your impact to the world magnifies. And this is what I would love for you in your life. Now, I'd like to thank Chris and CHAMPIAM for doing this whole summit. This series is amazing. And it's not just the speakers that you're listening to now. You don't know what went into the making of this. Chris was actually holding sessions to help people to up their game as a speaker. So it wasn't just come speak. It's like, let me help you be successful. That shows the mark of a true leader. So thank you, Chris, for so much for doing this for everyone. And I'd like to thank you, the audience, because what a lot of people in the entrepreneurial world don't realize or just have forgotten is 90% of the world is not entrepreneurial. They're just going about their days, 9 to 5 jobs, same old, just trying to get by. You're not. You're striving for more. You're striving for better. One of the running jokes is with the entrepreneurs is we're willing to do a 120-hour day, a 120-hour week to escape a 40-hour work week, right? So we're crazy people, but we're determined to get stuff done, to make an impact, to change lives. So I want to honor you for that. Now, right now, my life is going really great. I am actually in an Airbnb that a few of my friends and I have rented. We came off an event called the Marketers Cruise with 450 entrepreneurs hanging out, doing deals, having fun, dancing, and probably about $100 million in deals was done just in that event. We're hanging out in Orlando right now because there's something called the Soulful Leadership Retreat coming up in about a week. And rather than go back to Toronto, which is where I'm from, and brave the cold in January, we said, let's stay in Orlando. And we can afford to do this because we're all doing really well right now. And I travel at least once a month to speak. I have clients in multiple countries, and things are just rocking it out for me. I've created a book called How to Rewrite Reality. And this is important for entrepreneurs. I want this to really sink in. When I first put out this book, people said, "This How to Rewrite Reality is a great book." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." However, I had a certain value, internal value for myself. And using techniques like the ones I'm going to teach you, I kept increasing my internal value. Now, this is not about ego. This is about the fact that we all have so much value and we've learned to suppress it. And as I remove that suppression and come into contact with the true value of who I am, reactions to the book have changed because there's a connection between you and what you put out into the world. So people are talking about how to rewrite reality in different ways now. I had someone tell me that just a couple of years ago that the book changed his life. I had someone tell me a year ago that his son read How to Rewrite Reality, and his son had been in depression for 3 years. He came out of depression after reading the book. And this year, someone came up to me and said, I read your book, How to Rewrite Reality. It saved my life. He was going to commit suicide. This is not to say that it's an amazing book, get the book. It's to say, as you tap into your value, everything you put out into the world is going to amplify. Your impact is going to amplify across the globe. That's what I want from you. And if you get nothing out of uh, this talk other than that, get that. Own your value. Okay, cool. Now, of course, it hasn't been all, unicorns and rainbows. I have gone through some crazy stuff in my life, and the worst was having to do with racism. So I used to get stopped at borders all the time. The first time was coming home from a vacation with my friends from Rio de Janeiro. And after we went through customs, I got stopped by the border. And the customs officer said, we need to ask you extra questions. So I said to my friends, hey guys, they need to ask us more questions. They go, no, not them, just you. And I looked at my friends that were white and I'm black, and I'm like, oh, got this. So they asked me a whole bunch of extra questions, delayed me, and finally I got out to my friends. They're like, what happened? It's like, the black thing, because, you know, we just got back from Rio. And they're like, that sucks. I can't believe that happened to you. We're here for you. We love you. I'm like, thanks, guys. After that, every time I crossed the border, whether I was driving from Canada to the US, if I was flying to other countries, if I was even on the Euro crossing borders, I got stopped. And I got delayed. I got my luggage searched. I got myself searched. We get my vehicle searched. I got asked extra questions. I got humiliated. I got frustrated. It was costing me time. It was costing me money. And this went on for years. And a couple of times I called people out on it. I remember crossing from one train to another in Europe, and they pulled me over and I said, is this your black check? And the guy says, look, I just got to do what my boss tells me. I said, did your boss tell you to check the black people? He said, yeah, I have to check all the colored people. So it's a black check. Got it. Just so I know I'm not crazy and making this up. The worst part was when I went to Madrid. I had crossed the border, finally didn't get checked, and I'm thinking, things are looking up. This is looking good. And then I'm standing at a fountain, and it's all tourists. It's just all tourists. An undercover officer comes and pulls me out of the crowd and says, I need to see your passport. So I'm like, okay. I show him my passport. He says, this doesn't have a visa. You need a visa to be here. And I'm like, no, I'm from Canada. Canadians don't need a visa to be in Spain. He goes, no, you need a visa. Come with me. And he takes me and throws me in a paddy wagon. And so, never been in a paddy wagon before, thank God. And so I'm driving around the city, and then he stops and he puts another black guy in. Stops, puts another black guy in. Here's the pattern. Eventually, there are 10 of us. They take us to jail where we're processed. They go through our personal effects, and then comes the strip search and the anal cavity search. Now, I'm in line. I'm waiting for this to happen to me. I'm watching the other guys, and I can tell from the looks on the guards' faces, they're just loving this. It's all to put us in our place, to show us who's in charge and to humiliate us. And so my anxiety is building as I'm moving closer and closer to having to go through the strip search and anal cavity search. When I get there, I'm in such a state of anxiety that a couple things are out of my awareness. Number one was I was in the best shape of my life. I was a bodybuilder at the time. And number two was we were in viewing distance of the holding cell with the working girls. So when my clothes came off, that cell erupted. It's like, ooh, baby, you looking fine. I love what I'm seeing. I'm like, okay, you know what? Not so bad. No one else got a cheering section. I got a cheering section. I think I can deal with this. So I spent the night in that jail and then got the hell out of the country. When I got home, I was telling one of my coaches about my latest border crossing story. And he says to me, Shiraz, are you ready to step out of that story? Now, let me explain to you what he meant by step out of that story. We all have good stories and we all have bad stories. Good stories are things like find the best parking spots. Bad stories are things like I never make enough money in my business. To your unconscious mind, however, there are no bad stories. There are only good stories. You just have to figure out why they're good stories. So for instance, you want more success. You'd like to make more money. Or do you? Because what if I propose this to you? Let's say you make an extra $100,000 a year. As a result, a whole bunch of your family and friends are like, can I have some money? Can you invest in my company? Can you take care of me? If you're having an emotional reaction to those questions coming at you, you don't actually want the money. All right, this is it. Your mind prioritizes avoidance of emotional distress over physical circumstances. It would rather you be broke than feel pressured into giving money, to feel guilty for having money when other people don't have it, or feel shame for not giving money when you could. So, easiest solution is, well, if you don't have the money, you can't be put into those emotional situations. That's how everything works in your life. It's all about emotions and not about physical. When you get through the emotional restrictions, the physical stuff just shows up. Case in point, me. I was making about $100,000 a year consistently for most of my life, which on one hand doesn't sound horrible. It's $100,000 a year. However, if you're stuck there for decades doing everything you can to make more money and you're not getting to that next level, you get really, really, really frustrated. So I started working with a coach to find out why I was stuck, because I had worked with business coaches. I had tried different promotions. I had done different products. I had tried different systems. The physical wasn't changing anything. So it had to be the emotional. And when I worked with him, we found out that when I was a teenager, I had a bunch of family and friends talk about, hey, Shiraz, you're smart, you're creative. We have no doubt that you're going to be making millions of dollars. And I'm like, oh man, thanks guys. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to strive for that. And they said, yeah. And then you're going to have the house on the beach. You're going to be able to travel the world. I'm like, oh my God, that sounds amazing. You stay in exotic places. I'm like, yes. And then we get to come hang out with you. We get to stay at your place. We get to travel with you. And I thought, oh my God, they're going to leech off me. If I make lots and lots of money, they are all going to expect me to support them, to take them with me, to stay at my place. Oh, hell no. Right? Now, this wasn't a conscious process. This was an unconscious process. My unconscious mind decided $100,000 is high enough that I can live comfortably, but not so high that they can just descend and start leeching off me. So when I worked with that coach to get out of that state, where if they say, hey, let's go hang out at Shiraz's, I'll just be no, with zero guilt. Remember, it's all about emotion, zero guilt. Uh, then that created freedom for myself. Now, it's not like I'll say no every time, but now I'm in choice of when I can say no and when I don't have to say no, right? And by freeing up that space, that mental space, I went to $200,000 within the next year. And I did my first $1 million in sales the year after because of that one belief keeping me stuck for decades. And this is the thing, when you're trying to solve a problem and that problem is consistently stuck in your life, it's not a problem. It's a solution. Not making the money was my solution to not going through that emotional distress. So what I want you to start doing is, instead of saying, why isn't this working for me? Why can't I find clients? Why can't my business get to where I want it to be? You want to ask yourself, what's the hidden benefit for me being right here that I'm not seeing? And those kinds of questions are what's going to cause the answers to bubble up from your subconscious so you can figure out what the actual problem is. So let's go back to me talking to my coach. I'm stopped at borders. This is a physical thing. I've got verification. It's racism. And he says, are you willing to step out of that story? And I said, it's not a story. It's racism, right? Racism's a real thing. It's not a made up thing. He goes, yes, racism's a real thing. Racism is horrible. But what you're talking about is a story. I'm like, how is it a story? Right? There's always a benefit to the story. And I said, I'm getting delayed. I'm getting frustrated. I'm losing money. Where's the upside? He said, Shiraz, when you tell your border crossing stories, you light up. You feed off people's emotional reaction to your stories of adversity. It feels like love. And you can't keep telling the same story over and over again. So you have to make sure you keep getting stopped at borders so you have new material. If it were racism, you'd also be getting stopped in traffic. You'd be getting denied jobs. There's all these things that happen to Black people because of racism. None of them are happening to you. You're only getting stopped at borders. And I thought, oh my God, he's right. That's the only time it's happening. So I made a decision in that moment. I'm not going to get love from other people for my adversity. I'm going to get it for my success. I'm going to hang out with successful people. I'm going to support and be supported by successful people. And I'm going to fill my world with love of success. And after that, I stopped getting stopped at borders. It just went away, right? And you may wonder, well, how does it just go away? Well, there are two things. Number one, did you know that there are non-white customs agents? See, I didn't, because I was unconsciously lining myself up with the white ones for maximum racism efficiency. And number two, what are customs agents looking for? People that are looking suspicious, that their eyes are darting around, they're wondering who might catch them. What am I doing? Who's going to pull me over this time for being black? I'm doing exactly the thing they're looking for. I'm lighting myself up to them. And when I let all that go, I just walked in and did my thing, and no one ever stopped me ever since. So I want you to get this though, because I didn't tell you a story about racism. I told you a story about addiction. I was addicted to the love I got for my struggles. And you may be going through a similar addiction right now, right? You may be going through struggles and getting love and support from people. And your subconscious may say, look, if we start creating success, are we still going to get the love? We don't know. So you know what? Let's stick with what works. So even though consciously you may be trying to create more and more success, unconsciously, because emotions are more important, because love is essential to your mind, to the way you're thinking, your mind says, let's make sure you struggle so we know you get love. You have to make solid decisions to change your addictions. Okay. I went from addicted to struggle to, not even that, addicted to love from struggle to addicted to love from success. And I've done this in other areas of my life as well. I used to work hard all the time, right? There was a pride in it. Look how hard I'm willing to work. I'll work harder than anyone else. And while that's cool, and I was very productive and I got a lot more done, I was burning myself out. So eventually I said, you know what? I am going to get my fix from how easy things became. Instead of working all night and going, look how great I am and feeling so proud, I would decide I want to do this. And then someone else would say, hey, I can do that for you. And it's off my plate. I'm like, that was easy. And I get my dopamine hit from that instead of working hard. And as a result, the amount of work I've had to do has gone steadily down. The amount of success I have is going steadily up. And this is what I want from you too, right? Notice what stories are running your life. And some of them feel like they're important and you should be in there. Like, I have to work hard, right? I have to do it on my own. I have to show people how capable I am. All those have tos, let them go. You don't have to do anything. You can be in a space of, I'm going to show people the value I have to give to the world. And I have to. When you need them to see it, you're in what I call a push energy. You're pushing yourself on other people. When you just know you have it, people will naturally see it. One sec. All right. So this is the big secret as to what's keeping you from the success you deserve. The number one thing is you have reasons as to why that success is going to suck. Okay. And it's not. It's going to be amazing once you get these beliefs out of the way. Right. And I've been through this myself. I'm still removing belief after belief to create bigger success for me, to make it easier to create success, to stop worrying about what everyone else thinks of me. That's another big one. Care about people. Don't care what they think about you. Because when you start caring about what everyone thinks about you, you're not going to behave like you. You're going to try to behave like what you think they will be happy with. And that's every person has a different opinion. So you've just lost control of your life. So just do you. And that leads to another thing I've seen with a lot of entrepreneurs is if I become successful, suddenly I'm going to be very visible. There's going to be a lot expected of me. And there's going to be so much judgment. And your mind will say, well, I don't want to go through that. So it'll keep you smaller. However, here's what happens is when you are just showing up as you and you become really successful, yes, people are going to expect things of you. Screw them. Seriously, okay? Because what got you to that level of success is you being you. Suddenly putting pressure on yourself to be what everyone expects of you stops you from being you, which is what got you there in the first place. So just let it all go. Just continue being you, and you'll continue to create success. So that's about everything for me. I hope you have joined this presentation. And if you would like to work further to find out what those beliefs are and remove them, you can come to my website, energeticmagic.com. And right on the homepage, there's a promotion there for Ignite Your Success. It's a monthly workshop I do the second Monday of every month, where I work directly with clients to clear some of the limiting beliefs, and I can work directly with you. This process can take as little as 5 minutes and can profoundly change your life. But the advice I just gave you is going to help with that as well. So go to energeticmagic.com, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you again, Champ I Am. Enjoy the rest of the event. I'll see you soon. All right, bye.